Oh, it's been a long day. I'm trying to make sure that everybody can see us on both ends, both on YouTube and on Facebook. Um, it won't let me go straight to the actual page, but I can probably try to send it to it. But we are here. We are here. Oh, there you are. Yo, what's up, brother?
Hold on, let me get my thing.
Oh my Jesus, this has been fun. Um, all right, let's see if this works. Oof. Um, I got stuff to delete. Okay, so we actually got it to work. We should be, if I did it right, we should be streaming to both Facebook um and what you call it, YouTube. Okay, yes, we finally have it. Good, 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 good. This is great. All right, this is very great. Finally, freaking found a way to do it. Because trying to monitor both was a pain. That was a true pain. Your hair looking a little red, bro. All right, let me see. Let's see. We in here. We in here. Oh, what the heck? That's ugly. It won't let it show on the actual thing. That sucks. I guess it won't allow outside content. That's very weird. Oh well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. Um, yeah. So that's weird. But we did get it to work. That's all that freaking matters. That is all that matters.
How about now?
Yeah, I can still hear you. You sound just fine.
Yeah, I need to change the audio output.
Yeah, because is it still going to your
Oh,
computer?
it doesn't let me. Bro, can you say something?
Yeah. What's up? You hear me?
Excuse me.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I mean, everybody might be able to hear me. I can't hear you that loudly. I hear you. It's
Oh.
because the audio is going through a different channel
Uh, that makes sense.
and does not let me change that channel, which is bizarre.
Hmm. That is bizarre. It's very bizarre. I don't know
It
what
lets me change the input, but it won't let me change the output. Hold on.
Wow. That's strange.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Technology is stupid, man. Like, look, we should
And
have we should
I'm
uh
we're still live streaming, correct?
yeah.
Apologize to everybody. I am on vacation and I couldn't bring everything that I ultimately need. Normally, I'm the person who takes care of any of these kind of like issues and stuff. Nonetheless, because of this technical error, we definitely not going to keep y'all all night. And I also am going to do a stream. Um, Nero might also do it with me, where we talk about something else that has been on a lot of people's minds. I was
Hmm.
actually recommended to me by my older brother, and that is double standards.
Mm. Double standards.
So be on the lookout for that. We are doing that this week. As for the day yet, Friday or
I
Saturday,
like
we got to talk it and figure it out.
right. I dig that. That sounds dope. Like that sounds mad dope. I think that would be cool. Double standards, huh? Let me see.
Yeah, because I think, you know, there's versions of this conversation that need to be had that speak on double standards. Because see, here's the thing,
Okay.
and this is just me thinking out loud here. You guys with you. When we talk about some of the dynamics that do exist with self control,
Mm-hmm.
I think what also needs to be brought about is just how much personal interaction, especially between men and women, how
Hmm.
much of that can play into self control for better or worse. Because immediately, where people care about these things is in the scope of relationships. So
Hmm.
why not talk about it, right?
Hmm.
Because see, I'm still trying to figure out how men and women can have a cohesive, forward moving conversation when we are singling out each other. Meaning,
Right.
I don't know how many discussions can be thoroughly had in a positive, upbringing, building way when we choose to single out one sex or the other while
Right.
both of us talk about that particular sex.
Right.
If I'm making any sense. I know I said a lot right there.
No, no. I
But
mean,
yeah, basically, I don't
it's
know if men and women can have a constructive conversation where we're only talking about one or the other because we've seen plenty of examples of that not working.
yeah.
That does not mean we shouldn't try, though. And I'm
No,
all for
absolutely
trying.
not. I honestly think that really us trying is the biggest first step that any of
Mhm.
us can take, because I mean, if no one tries, we're not going to get anywhere. We're just
Precisely.
literally not going to get anywhere. We'll just remain stagnant, and I don't think the stagnation is important in things like this. Um, honestly, I feel like things are made difficult when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
think
think.
there's definitely a lack of understanding,
Hmm.
and I think that's important when we have these conversations because you
Yes.
know we do have to account for those people who, whether it be us talking about something from a female perspective or not, or a male perspective or not, there's always going to be the opposite sex. And so interpretations, things can appear different to different people, especially when they are not the same sex.
Right.
So I'm with you where I want to have the conversation, but we have to frame it in a space where it's a safe space for both men and women to talk.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what'll happen is what typically happens with most people, whether you're male or female, who try to have these conversations with the opposite sex, and what it ends up becoming is a pissing contest. You know,
Yeah.
debates about, oh well, you do it and you do it, and I
Yeah.
don't want to have those conversations. There are plenty of places where those conversations are already being had, and we
Right.
see that they go nowhere. It's
Right.
just a bunch of
Oh,
people arguing about what
yeah.
they think.
Oh, yeah.
So the baseline has to be established. When we talk about like self control, for example, what avenues are we talking about? In the case of our stream, we're primarily talking about the type of situations where men can get very angry and lash out and do things.
Right.
We are also talking about how the negative effects of that and why.
Mhm.
Because to really understand why somebody does something at a very baseline, you have to understand the person, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can
Understand
see
the
the
behavior
logic at
for
work, right?
it. Mhm.
Then you can see, oh, this makes sense, and or even it doesn't, but here's what's going on. You can
Mhm.
unpack what it is you're witnessing instead of just being like, oh, I don't know what's going on. You
Yeah,
know
I
what
know.
I'm saying? You might actually know what's going on,
You
but you
just
might not
you might not be okay.
understand why it's going on.
Okay. I get that. I get that.
You feel me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like you might know that I'm pissed off, but do you know why I'm pissed off?
Right.
And do you respect me enough to understand why it is that I am? Because
Like,
I
what is
think
the root of the frustration?
right, and do you from that right?
Mhm.
We have to then go and be like, well, is this after we get past the point of whether it makes sense or not? We also need to have a conversation about is is this a safe space? Because let me tell you, a lot of people, both male and female, lack self-control, and also will be uncontrollable in general from a place of feeling misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
How many times you seen somebody lash out for whatever reason, and one of their fleeting comments or the last things they say is, "Y'all just don't get it. Y'all don't understand." We hear that
Right.
a lot. And some of us have said that, right?
Yeah.
And that
One
means there's
thing that
something there that we
before I
need to look into.
yeah, before I get into that, we got a couple comments on Facebook. Uh Kara said, "Hey, what's up, Kara? It's good to see you." Um the homie Shedrick said egos need to be put aside. Yes, absolutely. It's imperative that we really try to pay attention and keep tabs on the issues of, personal petty stuff. You can't allow that to get in your space too much, because when you do, it just causes more issues. It just really creates more of a set of problems than you even need. You know what I mean? Like, in all honesty. And I think for a lot of people that's the hardest thing to put aside. Like, that's the big monster, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Right. And I understand that. I would add, like, here's the thing with ego though, right?
Mhm.
As we've discussed before, we need to do it, y'all, we're gonna do that series on ego. Because we got
Yes.
to talk about ego. Because
Yes.
ego,
Mhm.
ego in itself is not a negative thing. And it's important that I say that
Yes.
because you know, what about the ego?
Mhm.
And that's the thing. When we talk about the ego, we have to highlight that there's a positive aspect to ego and a negative. And if
Mhm.
we're only talking about the negative, then we need to call out the specific characteristics of negative egotistical things
Right, right, right.
and the words that are actually associated with them, such as arrogance. So if we're
Yeah.
talking about like ego, for example, what we're really talking about is someone's arrogance,
Right.
someone's insensitivity. You
Or
know,
even more specifically than that, someone's id. Like the
yeah,
literal
sure.
definition of that, your
And
id.
if we're gonna get technical, for sure.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, y'all. Like, truth be told, sometimes, sometimes when these situations happen, especially with men,
Mhm.
the only thing that people care about is the reaction.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, a lot of times, and if you've been that person,
Right.
you know, like most of the time, no one really cares about why you're doing it. They just
Yeah.
care that you did it.
Right.
And that's the thing, man. And it's like sometimes these situations can be volatile, violent, belligerent, but they're
Oh,
not always. They don't always show up that way.
yes, yes.
People get overwhelmed. That's a real thing.
Mm,
People lose self control out of being overwhelmed.
oh,
And
yeah.
so sometimes we have to remember that it's not always as simple
Mhm.
as losing self control. That is the basic of what it is.
Right.
To anybody who wouldn't know, right? It's going
Mhm.
to always look that way. But this is why it's important because we have to be able to dissect and break down what
Mhm.
leads to that in order to rectify it.
Yes.
If a person has a self control issue, that's just the end result. That doesn't really tell you what their issue is. That just tells you what the result of their actions are. To
Mhm.
really know that they have a self control issue, to understand it, you
Mhm.
have to know what makes them tick. You have to know why this happened, right? You got to know that part. You
Yes.
have to. Because if you don't, not only is it very easy to write it off as simply that,
Yeah.
you may also be preventing yourself. Some people don't care about this. So I'm saying this very carefully. You may be preventing yourself from helping out somebody who truly needs it.
Yes. You're literally blocking what could be a pathway or a lifeline for someone else.
Especially if it's somebody y'all care about.
Right.
That's why it's important to be considerate. And if you truly care about somebody, when you see them having a moment,
Mm-hmm.
that you study that.
Yeah.
You look into that. Like, why did so and so freak out like this? Like, why is he tripping?
Right.
You know, what you don't do is invalidate it by just telling somebody that they tripping or that they
Thank
crazy.
you.
Don't
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
not do that.
I am so glad you said that, just because of the simple fact that it creates so many issues whenever which this is essentially gaslighting to some degree. I know people like to use that word, but it's essentially gaslighting. You're invalidating the reason why somebody is feeling a certain type of way instead of trying to understand why it's happening. You know what I
That's
mean?
why I'm a very big proponent of telling people, like, tell me why, like, explain it to me.
Right.
And I don't mind telling people, like, explain it to me like I'm a fourth grader. Because sure, I'm smart, I'm articulate.
Right.
That does not mean though that I have the full scope and spectrum of everything, of
Right.
all emotions to be understood. I never will. There's going to be things that even I miss,
And that's
you
okay.
know, and that's, yes, perfectly okay. What's even more okay is you explaining it to me in a way to the best of your ability that I can understand. That in itself is a skill that a lot of people lack. A lot of people, they wear their hearts on their hearts on their sleeves, and so they can get very emotional, both men and women.
Mhm.
But just because you feel a way about something does not give it full range for it to be understood, respected, and that be the end of it. No,
Right.
you have you have to be able to explain stuff to people so they can understand. And if you
Yeah.
come from the opinion of, oh well, I don't need to explain it, should be understood, you should already understand it, then not only do you not allow for people to get that much closer to you and understand them, you also prevent opportunities to solve other problems later down the road. If you
Mhm.
just assume that somebody's supposed to know something about you, I got news for you. You don't even know you like that.
Right.
You don't even know you
A
like
lot
that.
a lot of us have had to do, like, there's a reason why they say that introspection is a good yet a bad thing. And the reason that is because introspection only leads you to so much. Yes, self-examination is important. Self-examination is in a lot of ways imperative. But because it's okay to examine yourself. You should want to examine yourself. However, when you don't allow for there to be, you know, when you don't allow for there to be an extension of extra and additional opinions in these situations, when you don't allow for that, you open up the door for you to create your own critique, which could either be very accurate or very inaccurate. And
Yeah,
you never have any way of knowing because
to
you have
check
no
you.
one to field that.
Nope,
Yeah.
you have nobody to be like, hey, let me tell you what I see. You have no other perspectives to go off of other
Right.
than your own. And in some cases, some of y'all, both men and female, but today we're
Mhm.
talking about the men, y'all don't like being told anything by nobody else. Y'all don't want to be told anything. And that's
Right.
cool. You can adopt that, but
It's kind of on you
understand,
what happens next.
right, you got to deal with the results of that. I understand, I'm able to look at it from both perspectives because I'm also like, you know what? This is why some men don't even like to share their feelings, not just with women, but with other men. Because there's a there's this there's a few preconceived notions that come with that. One of
Mhm.
them is you're written off as weak,
Yes.
pussy, bitch, whatever word y'all want to use. Y'all know
Mhm.
I curse, so I don't care. You know, you get wrote off as complainer.
Right.
You get wrote off as crazy. You
Mhm.
know, you get and it's like that, and that's the thing. Like it can be hard, and as a man, we all know those of us who are of that gender
Right.
biologically. we understand that there are things, there are emotions and feelings that drive us to be a certain type of way excessively when it comes to certain things, such as, but not limited to,
Mm-hmm.
sex,
Yeah.
sex, and control. And this
Yes.
is important because y'all know we can't have no conversation about having self control without talking about control,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's
Okay.
no way you have those conversations without some of y'all like, oh, the word is within the term. How you gonna do that? Simple.
It's part of what it is.
Exactly. And that matters because some of y'all are control freaks
Mm-hmm.
to the point that you think you've attached being a leader,
Oh,
a
what's
core
good?
element of
You just popped in. What's
a
good
core
with
element of being a man
you? Mm-hmm.
to control.
Mm-hmm.
But see, where you failing at is that you lack self control. In order for you to lead in any fashion, whether that's lead an army,
Mm-hmm.
lead a Boy Scout group, lead
Mm-hmm.
your woman,
Right.
you have to have self control because you understand that of all the things comprised of you, whether that's physically, your muscle,
Mm-hmm.
verbally, your mouth,
Mm-hmm.
or emotionally, you understand that there's a point where those things can be too much. There are
Yeah.
situations where that energy can be too much. And as a male in society, you know that an excess of some of those same energies will get you in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely.
Control your impulses.
Yes.
Okay? You gotta, as a man, you gotta control your impulses.
It's
You
important.
have to. Because if you don't,
Someone
you
else.
will be rectified.
Yeah. You'll end up in a situation where you can end up your own self problem when it comes to self-destructive behavior. And that's just something that has to be maintained. You
Hmm.
have to maintain your collectivity.
For
You
both
have to be
men,
gotta make sure that your mind's right.
for both men and women. And that's the thing, y'all.
Yes.
We are driven, both men and women. And I'm bringing women up because I want to show like opposite points of the same, opposite sides of the same coin. Just like how we view sex in this world, you know
Mhm.
that there's a lot of negative and problematic situations that can come from having too much sex, right?
Mhm.
As a man in society, whether people whether people want to admit it or not, in large, you are viewed a certain type of way based off of your sexual promiscuity or lack
Absolutely.
thereof as a man and or woman. And as we know, sex is the most important aspect of life because it leads to procreation. It creates life. So, from a self-control standpoint, it's one of the key areas that you must exercise self-control.
Yes.
Those of us who haven't are currently dealing with the results of that.
Mhm.
You in the chat, you know who I'm talking to.
Right.
That's a big cornerstone of self-control for men.
Yeah.
Some of y'all might feel that y'all don't really need much self-control because you feel it's in your nature to just do whatever.
Mhm.
But too much of anything is always bad. Access, that's greed, gluttony. So it
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Self-destructive behavior is self-destructive behavior at the end of the day.
And even if it's not a understood self-destructive behavior, too much of anything, whether you view it as destructive or not, is still. I'm pointing with this lighter. It still can
O-
lead to that.
Overindulgence. Overindulgence.
Another way to look at self-control is discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline. That's another word.
That's another word that a lot of people don't like either.
Yeah, because what it also highlights, if you really taking it serious for what it is that you understand the power in
Mm-hmm.
your ability to do things and the results of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to. It's part of the reason why it's collectively understood and respected amongst most men that they
Mm-hmm.
don't do anything physical to women. It's not just because they're women, but because they're women, it's understood in nature that they are
Mm-hmm.
physically less dominant than we are in that regard. They're not as strong naturally as we are. So basically, what that tells you is that, hey, you come into this world with a particular advantage in this category.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that this particular advantage is to aid you in your best endeavors in a positive space. So
Mm-hmm.
when you do anything with this gift that has been bestowed upon you
Right.
that doesn't align with that, not only are you not exercising your self control and
Mm-hmm.
gratitude for the ability, but you also may be headed down a pathway of destruction in
Yeah.
acting out in this way with this. It's basically taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
And we talking about men. A lot
Right.
of y'all, I'm gonna have to get off here in a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because my stuff is dying. We've been trying to get this pod up for like an hour now.
It's been rough, dog.
Um, and it's okay though, because I'm gonna drop some gems before I leave.
Mm-hmm.
But fellas, control your anger. What are you so mad about?
Absolutely.
What are you so mad about? And look, check this out. If there is something to be that mad about,
Mm-hmm.
you can be upset and speak about it without being disrespectful.
Thank
Because
you.
guess what? When you're not being disrespectful, you're that much more likely to be
To be
heard.
heard. Yes.
You have to be heard in order for your point to get across and for your behaviors to make some bit of sense. The
Right.
next person still might not view them as right or okay, but they'll at least understand why it happened.
Mm-hmm. Look, Javar coming at you. He said, if you don't plug that stuff up and call it a day, I know it's next to you.
If only it was that simple.
he
It
coming
actually ain't
to
that simple
he
because
coming to
all my where I'm at right now, like everything is occupied, so I don't have no
mm-hmm.
outlets where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
But and plus, y'all,
Brittany B.
been
Love
on
also
we've been on here
said,
for a long time. I'm
yeah,
not trying to keep nobody. I'm not
yeah.
trying to keep nobody when we had technical difficulties. I don't believe in doing that.
Brittany B. Love also says, great discussion, guys. That was on Facebook. I still got to read
Thank
the
you.
one on Facebook because I ain't got it fully calibrated. I'm gonna send you this link, dog, so you can set this thing up too. You just have to make sure to connect everything before you start the stream. Otherwise, it doesn't send it.
Bro, it's probably works just like OBS Ninja, which is a
Yeah,
whole nother conversation that we're not gonna have here.
yeah, we need to
But
do it whenever you come back.
we are gonna do another live stream though this week for y'all because of
Yeah,
the technical difficulties. Because with this self-control conversation, we need to talk about double standards. I have
yeah.
a very particular opinion on double standards, and I'm sure Nero does too. And we're probably not gonna be on the same page, but that's good because that's what we like about what we do.
Look,
We
that's
don't
the
always
beauty
agree
of
on
the
shit.
discussion. We don't actually.
And
We
that's
get
part of
along.
what helps us
We
build
always
great
feel that.
discussions for y'all. Like
Yeah.
it's not always, yeah, I agree too. Yeah, me too. Yeah. All right. Nah, nah.
It happens
But
sometimes. It does happen sometimes.
yeah, no, yeah. And that's why we friends, that's why we cool, that's why we had this for y'all.
Mm,
But we also want to hear what other people think and stuff like that too. Before I go though,
mm.
self-control. Fellas, control your sexual urges. I have news for y'all. There are more women in this world than there are men. If
Yeah.
you don't believe me, all you got to do is check the census. I could post some links. I don't even have the chat up right now, but there's more women in this world than men.
Mm.
And they ain't going nowhere. They are not going nowhere.
I mean, well, that's
They not going anywhere. If
debatable.
anybody going anywhere, it's us. But I'm not gonna get into that neither. But
That's
there's plenty of
debatable.
women out here, and I got news for you. Rejection is practically built in when it comes to men.
Yeah,
So don't
I
let
agree
your
with that.
rejection make you lose self-control. You
No,
will get rejected if you actually out here shooting your shot. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take,
don't
though.
take. Yes, bro.
So that losing self-control with
Yeah,
women is a no-go. That don't mean you can't be mad or upset with them.
but
You can,
you can't be out here
but your
wild.
behavior, how you handle those situations,
Mm-hmm.
it's important. It's important.
Like you really do have to control your own behaviors. You have to be the master of your own space and your own
I
mentality.
always, when it comes to male and female interactions, my logic is always pretty much if you ain't gonna come that way at a let me just say it. If you ain't gonna come that way at a motherfucker, a dude,
Right.
don't be coming that way at a female. Don't use your physical advantage
See, and I've never liked that.
to
I've
to
never.
to impose fear and everything else on the opposite sex. Keep the same energy you had.
Hmm.
And if that same energy just happens to be belligerent and anything else, one, you need to sit your ass down somewhere.
For
And
real.
two, if you can't check yourself before you wreck yourself, you need to have somebody else check you. I'm
Yeah.
not saying go talk to your friends because friends are cool for advice, but friends are not at all the best barometer of
No.
advice. Get
Most
professional help.
because
It's
most
not as expensive as y'all think it is.
right.
Many of y'all are paying for insurance right now that will pay on that therapy for you.
Right.
Stop spending money on these frivolous things and put it on your mental health. Because I'm telling you, a lot of us, especially within the black community, I said it
Mhm.
twice.
Oh, Keontae's in. He said popping in after the verses. How's the night going? It's been rough, dog. I ain't gonna front with
Hey,
you. We finally got this thing figured out. Took like an hour, but and a lot of Google. A lot of Googling. Shout out to Google. We appreciate Google. Oh Jesus. But yeah, I mean you're right. You're right. Look, you can't always use your friends as a barometer. Actually, more specifically, you need what I think works for the help. I think you froze, bro. I don't know what's going on. Um this man frozen. Oh Jesus. Keontae, you jinxed it. He froze. Oh no. I wonder if that means it died. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, um, the importance of self control. A big part of self control is the fact that look, there's plenty of things that you can find to be mad about. There's plenty of things you can find to be frustrated with. This man said mannequin challenge. I can't deal with you. All right, I guess he's out. I think his phone died. But just to finish off, because we ain't gonna be here super long. Um, there's a lot of things that you can be mad about. This man says screenshot. I'm sick of y'all that you can be frustrated about. That's fine. You know what I mean? Frustrations come with the territory of what goes on, right? It comes with the territory. It's just part of life. Y'all ain't right. I was in there saying he faking it. Y'all are not good friends. But I've always said, and this is just something like some dudes agree with me, some dudes don't. I say it's always good to have a friend who is a member of the opposite sex who has an unbiased opinion. As in that friend, or at least a friend that's gonna tell you when you're being an idiot. Let's just say it like that. You have to have a friend who's gonna check you and be like, hey, you're wilding out right now. You need to chill. Cut all that out. You know. The reason I say the opposite sex is because sometimes, as we all know, a lot of the biggest issues we have are between men and women. It's just the truth. We so when it comes to that, it's good to have a friend who's unbiased who can give you the opposite sex's perspective in a way that maybe you won't see it. Because sometimes you don't. I mean, honestly, sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes we don't get it. You know, for all intents and purposes, sometimes men are stupid. It's just the truth. But the biggest thing is that yes, you have to exercise some measure of self-control, especially if you're a grown adult. Like, part of being an adult, part of being a man is being cognizant of your own actions and the effect that they can potentially have on your environment, the people around you, and yourself. Because if you're not doing that, you're creating a situation where you will get caught slipping by something and not even know why. And ain't nothing worse than being, you know, despised, having people discuss that at you and you don't even know why. Especially if you're an adult. Like, it's one thing because I've had this experience with certain adults. I have. I'm not gonna say no names. I ain't that type of person. But I've had experiences where I've literally had to come at grown adults and be like, look, you wilding out right now. Like, it's one thing if it's a child, right? Because it's a child. We can level with the fact that it's a child that's kind of a little handicap the kids have. We can be like, okay, it's a kid. They're going to naturally do certain things that are not always in their best interest. So, okay, that makes sense. Whatever. So what? So be it, right? Um when it's a full grown adult, it's different because it's like, okay, you should have an understanding of why this is a bad thing to do. You should have an understanding of why this is, y'all know I hate this word, toxic, or just essentially stupid. You know what I'm saying? That's important. It's absolutely important. You can't you can't be out here, you know, pretending like you can really carry yourself in that way and it makes sense because it doesn't. It doesn't. We're adults. You know, if you got to take, yes, you expect more from adults. Thank you, Keontae. Look, if you gotta, because trust me, I've had my own issues with anger. I get it. I get it. Like, I really get it. If you have to take that walk, that long walk, or long drive somewhere, you know what I mean, and you just gotta go somewhere to clear your head, go somewhere to get yourself together, so that way you feel a little bit better. Maybe maybe you just not having a good day. You know, it's okay. No one's saying that it's like bro said. No one's saying it's wrong to be angry. It's not. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Anger is an emotion. It's a natural feeling, just like anything else. However, what is wrong is acting in a, like Keontae said, ignorant and self-centered manner. Acting in an ignorant and self-centered manner is not conducive to anything that you're trying to do. I promise you, it's not going to do you any favors. It's not going to help you with anything. If you're trying to negotiate something, it's not going to get you anywhere. You know what I mean? You're just going to be seen as a rage monster. Like, I find it funny that we look at archetypes of unbridled anger and frustration and a lack of self-control. Like, case in point, like the Hulk, right? When you look at the Hulk, not like Professor Hulk, like the normal Hulk. I'm going nerd, but for real. When you look at the Hulk, you don't look at the Hulk and say, give him respect or feel some measure of respect because he's the Hulk, you know what I mean, or because of who he is or what he is. No, you might feel fear because he's angry and because he's dangerous when he's angry, but there's no respect there for that person. When you think about it that way, then put yourself in the shoes of the Hulk while he's wilding out, while he's acting up. What does everybody do? They don't ever take a moment and be like, yo, we should respect the Hulk's wishes and leave him alone. We should give respect to no. They try to get rid of him. They try to get him out of the way because of the fact that when you're acting in a childish manner, you're going to be treated like a child. You're going to be treated like something, like a problem that needs to be fixed or rectified. We have to be aware of that. And I characterize it like that in order to make it something that you can physically see. Because sometimes we can't physically see it. Sometimes we don't see it. We don't get it, right? So in order to make it so we get it, I gotta bring it in a way where you'll see what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's literally the fact that you can't, that's literally what you look like. If you want to think about it that way, that's literally what you look like. You look like a rage monster. You know, that's something I've had to wrestle with. I'm sure that a lot of the men in the chat can say that they've had to wrestle with that as well. Anger is a big issue amongst men, more specifically black men, because we just got a lot of more stuff to be mad about. It's true, you know. It's not something we can escape. However, that does not mean that we have to be belligerent. It does not mean that we have to be self-centered. It doesn't mean that we have to be stupid with it, you know. Anger can have a direction. Anger can have, you know, a purpose, an end game. You know what I'm saying? It's just something, and like I said, we're not doing this. We're not doing this type of stream to judge people. We're not doing this to judge men. We're not doing this to judge anybody. We're doing this because this is something that should be thought provoking. That should get you to really be like, yo, you know, take a step. I hope that everybody who's listening, and if you stuck with us through all of this, I appreciate you. I'll be done soon. I won't be before you long, but I want everybody to step back and reflect and be like, yo, has there been a moment where I could have been tripping? Has there been a moment where I could have been wilding out? Is there a moment where I could have been acting in a way that doesn't really define me, but instead defines what fleeting feeling I'm having at that moment? Or defines the issue that I'm involved in, right? That's the questions that we all have to ask. We have to die daily to this stuff, man. I mean, this ain't like, this is not something that you just instantly figure out. This isn't something that you just get out of a sudden, because you don't. You know what I mean? That's the suckiest part. You don't get it all of a sudden. You learn it gradually. You learn it over time. You figure it out. And once you do figure it out, then you move forward. You learn from that experience. Hopefully, you pass it to others, you know, because it's not just you in the world. There's other people that deal with these things. And this is something that afflicts men young and old, you know. I've had this issue with just as many young people as I've had older people, and vice versa. The thing we have to understand, and I'm going to close with this because I don't want to be too long winded. Once again, I do appreciate everybody who's been on here, everybody who's commented, everybody who's liked it, everybody who's tried to be on the stream. I promise you, it is not going to be this difficult no more. I am so sorry. We just had to do a lot of things, a lot of changing up. So hopefully this will help to streamline some things. Eventually, I hope that we can actually do it straight to the group. But you know, all in good time. But in all honesty, I really hope that we can really look back and reflect on these things. That we can address the moments where we might be being deficient or being, you know, or acting in a way that is not conducive to who we are. I hope that we can analyze it and just make it a point for us to do better, you know, all of us collectively. Because as men, we do have a responsibility to truly to carry ourselves in a certain way, in a certain manner. We have a responsibility to ourselves, our friends, siblings, parents, children if we have them. You know, all of us come with an expectation. All of us come with an expectation of how we're supposed to carry ourselves. All of us come with an expectation of what we're supposed to do and who we're supposed to be as men. And that's something that needs to be addressed and that we have to make certain that we are putting into action, that we're enacting. So with that being said, I got the links to, there's a couple links that are in the chats. One of them is, of course, to the Flow page, which is the Black in a Minute Flow page, which will link you to everything: the podcast, the YouTube, the Facebook group, whole thing. So another thing that we have is we got shirts. In retrospect, the V-neck was not for me. So it's okay. We have normal collared shirts and we have tank tops and stuff like that. V-necks ain't for everybody. I didn't think it would be like a plunging neckline. I didn't think I was gonna be out here looking like Piccolo. So I might have to do some sit-ups before I put this on again. I just did it for the sake of the stream. But we have merch. We finally have freaking merch. So that's what's up. We have the online content / merch store up here. If you need it, hit me up. If you're unable to click the link, let me know. Yes, we would appreciate it if you go on there and make your selections of what we need, of what you feel like you need or what you feel like you want. So, yeah. Hey, V-necks can be okay as long as they ain't showing too much of the freaking taco meat. Like I ain't think it was gonna be this deep. But yes, for those of us who, well, have man boobs, they do kind of suck. So yes, we have normal collared shirts. We have an assortment. We have an assortment. I would like to see if we could share the screen. But honestly, I don't want to fiddle with this thing anymore because I'm afraid it might break. Because my luck hasn't been that good today. But yeah, go ahead and check it out. You can make your orders. Of course, it's going to take some time to ship because that's just how shipping works. This one took about, I want to say a week. Yeah, I think it was a week, give or take. So it'll take you about a week. If you do have any problems with how things are made, how things are oriented, because actually the material is very good. It's actually nice material. This feels comfortable, so we're down on that. But if you have any issues with like the logo's too small, too big, too whatever, let us know, and we will find a way to get you merch that actually will work for you, and we won't charge you extra. We'll take it out of our own. We'll take it out of our own pockets to make certain that you have what you need, because we care about y'all. Y'all the ones who keep us going. You know what I'm saying? If we don't have listeners, we don't really have a podcast. So we ain't gonna do you wrong, all right? But yeah, feel free to check that stuff out. We'll be figuring out some more things to have on there. Probably some things that relate to both me and the Dark Skin Poet specifically, instead of like not just the Black in a Minute stuff, but just stuff for all of us, for the both of us, right? Also, since we are in the month of July, when bro gets back, we gonna start having guests. So if you got a request, go ahead and put it in. We might get you on here. You know, we might even be able to tab you in this way, since we actually have this as a method now. We might be able to get you in and not even have to be in the room, you know, COVID notwithstanding, you know. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and it turns out, yeah, Sid's phone died. But I'm trying to tell him that y'all clowned him and it says crowned. I'm not that nice. But I don't know, Rex trying to make me be nice to him. But yeah, in all seriousness, we will be back tomorrow. Sid will be leading the discussion tomorrow on double standards. So yeah, it's gonna be dope. Definitely tune into that one. I promise it's gonna go a lot smoother than this one. Okay, this was just experimental at best. So yeah. Thank you for chiming in. We really appreciate y'all sticking with us as long as you have, and as much as you have through all the changes and everything. Terrible. You sent him the screenshot. You ain't right. And just through all the changes we've had to go through for various reasons, you know, we're growing, we're developing, we're trying to learn more things. This is all new to us. So we hope that y'all were able to get something good out of this. You know, hopefully we can get monetized on YouTube soon, but we can only do that with your help because we're only 2 people, and 2 views on anything is not going to get us monetized because Logan and Jake Paul suck and they screwed that up for all of us. So we couldn't even get the cheap little cents off of this stuff. That's my TED talk for today. But yeah, I'm gonna stop belaboring the point. This is Nero Angelo signing out. Peace out and power.